Hi there, everybody. Thanks for coming in, and welcome to reInvent. We're so happy to have you here. We wanted to let you know that there is a raffle that ServiceNow is holding. So if you haven't got one of those raffle tickets from the lovely lady there in the center aisle, they're going to be giving away a $200 Amazon card. All right, so this is actually a collaborative presentation between ServiceNow and AWS. So some interesting stuff for you. So please give a big welcome to the stage, Masanya Scott and Shiraz Mimon.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, I'm Masanya Scott with AWS Service Catalog. I'm a Senior Business Development Manager. And I'd like to introduce Shiraz Mimon, who is my partner in crime at ServiceNow.
Hello, everybody. My name is Shiraz Mimon. I'm a solutions consultant for ServiceNow, specifically working with strategic alliances with partners like AWS.
OK. So today we're going to talk about optimizing cloud management, leveraging AWS and ServiceNow.
You want to kick it off?
Yeah. So from feedback from our customers from an AWS perspective, we've got a lot of feedback as they're moving in their journey to the cloud. How can we ascertain the service health of resources that we're provisioning and monitoring and leveraging our tools that we already have from an enterprise perspective? So we want to see what we've provisioned. We want to know can we accelerate quickly, how things are secure, if they're compliant, and then leveraging AWS management tools such as AWS Service Catalog, CloudWatch, CloudTrail, Config. How can we get all that detail and information into our enterprise IT service management tool that we use for not only our cloud resources, but also any resources that we may have on-prem? So we've been working as a strategic partner with ServiceNow to bridge that connection and creating various different types of connectors that we'll go through in the next couple of sections.
So I'm not sure if you guys know, but there's a huge overlap of customers when it comes to AWS and ServiceNow. The last figure I found out about was about 40 to 45% of AWS customers utilize ServiceNow to some extent. So the adoption of these two platforms together is varying across all kinds of silos, telecommunication being one of them, financial services, banking, federal, education, utility. So basically, there's a vast area of adoption when it comes to actually these two platforms. So catering to these common customers was a huge incentive for both the companies. So ServiceNow as a platform is basically a cloud offering. In its core, ServiceNow is a service management tool. So we basically offer ITSM solutions. So from approvals to notifications to tasks, to orchestrations, to workflows, to Service Catalog, to Service Portal, and what have you. So this entire mechanism is basically an ecosystem where service management is basically taking place. We have separate additional verticals that actually offer IT operations management, that offers security, CSM, customer service management, basically catering to technical support organizations, HR, obviously catering to HR organizations, which basically include legal, compensation, what have you, and also several other customized business applications. So when it comes to monitoring the health of a network, be it a CPU usage, be it the cost of certain provisioned entities sitting in the cloud, all of that can actually be governed from within ServiceNow.
So as you're looking at moving to the cloud, it doesn't happen overnight, and you have to take an iterative approach. And so one of the things we're trying to figure out together is how do you balance the various needs of the different personas that you have in your organization? From your app dev team, the CFO who wants transparency in what things cost, from your SecOps and operations to seeing how things are performing and the health of those different products and services, to your IT operations as well, ensuring that things are up, high performance, and how do you bridge that, and how do you provide that transparent information in one single area. So what we're working on together is creating, like I stated before, these various connectors that allow you to ingest information from AWS and then provide those details into ServiceNow. So think about it. Has anybody heard of a federated CMDB before? So that's kind of the things that we're doing now in ServiceNow. And we started one of our biggest connectors with the AWS Service Catalog.
Adding to that, there are numerous roles and numerous personas that actually can be catered to when it comes to these joint solutions, or in fact, ServiceNow in and of itself. But we just named a few just to give you an idea. When it comes to the application developer perspective, you actually have an IDE sitting in the cloud from the ServiceNow offering. So you can do your entire development, your debugging, what have you, your testing from ServiceNow. From a C-level perspective, it actually gives you enough information to drive and monitor the business growth. From a security operations perspective, it gives you enough information to make sure that certain compliance checks are actually met. And from an IT operations perspective, it gives you enough information to preemptively solve monitoring issues or certain health issues, be it CPU usage or whatever it may be, that actually can cause certain issues. So proactively, you can actually go ahead and take care of those certain incidents before they actually bring a significant impact to your network. So from a 10,000-foot view, you may want to look at this integration from a few different perspectives. So from a joint solution perspective, ServiceNow being the single pane of glass, the end user can actually go ahead and attempt to provision any number of AMIs onto AWS from ServiceNow that will be actually pre-approved CFTs. So basically, from a developer, whoever it may be, those individuals have the capability to go ahead and provision those entities sitting in the cloud. So it could be an EC2, it could be EMR, it could be RDS, whatever it may be. So those pre-approved CFTs could actually be spun off from ServiceNow onto AWS using this integration. So once those entities are actually provisioned, those AMIs will actually reside as configuration items onto ServiceNow's CMDB. So that being said, it would actually give ServiceNow the ability to take in any incoming events, any incoming alerts, any incoming incidents that may be coming off of those certain entities sitting in the cloud. And that would actually give enough information to actually proactively solve issues, given that there might be any. Now, that's the information coming in from AWS to ServiceNow. But on the contrary, ServiceNow actually will have the capability to go ahead and run a discovery job on those certain entities sitting in AWS. So that would actually give the capability of doing a top-down discovery for service mapping perspective to actually basically attain any CI details that may actually be very much worthwhile. And given that those entities have been provisioned, that gives enough information for ServiceNow to go ahead and put together a nice, pretty dashboard with enough granular information regarding the cost and usage.
So over 90% of AWS services are based on what customers feel is important to them. So one of the biggest feedbacks we've gotten in the past couple of years is that the AWS Service Catalog, we're actually a proxy to CloudFormation. And what we do is we put governance and guardrails in. And so you give your end users, your developers, your analytics teams, your green teams, access to AWS Service Catalog only, and then you create products in what we call portfolios, similar to what ServiceNow calls categories. And those products are then have the ability to be provisioned and launched based on permissions. And so you give launch constraints, and those launch constraints have all the resource permissions, so the end user never has access directly to our AWS services, such as EC2, workspaces, or any of that matter. So it kind of segregates the duty within our platform. And so a lot of feedback that we heard from enterprise customers is that it's great that you have an AWS Service Catalog, but we already have an enterprise service catalog that we use to order from an iPhone, to order facility services, all this stuff, and we're using ServiceNow. So how can you guys integrate that together and make it kind of a consolidated, streamlined view? So what we've done is developed a connector called the AWS Service Catalog Connector for ServiceNow, which basically AWS Service Catalog serves as a source of truth for all your AWS products that you create. And then we ingest into ServiceNow Service Catalog all those products. So if you go to ServiceNow's portal, that pretty little portal that you see, and you go and say, go to the Service Catalog, you click on order an iPhone, now your developers can also click and order a web service or workspaces and all that kind of stuff. And then what we've also done is taken it a step further, and last Monday we launched the 3rd version of the connector, and we've enabled SSM actions, so AWS Systems Manager actions. So you can start, stop, reboot. You can update a product. And then once you do those actions, we automatically put a change record in ServiceNow's IT change management tool. And so what that does is it gives you that transparency so that when you get that audit on anything that's changed from what you've provisioned, you have that record. And not only did we do that, we also put in ServiceNow CMDB, we created a special new class called AWS Service Catalog Products. And in that class, we put every product event that has happened. So if you update a product, if you put an SSM action, or even if you terminate that product, you can see that trail of product events within the ServiceNow CMDB. So we're trying to bridge that gap and give you the ability to provision, the ability to automate things such as change, because a lot of people have given me feedback with my background in operations of, we don't want to have to manually go through creating change records. How can you automate that? So this solution does that for you. The solution is available on the ServiceNow store. Download it for free. And as long as you have fulfiller licenses in ServiceNow that have access to their service catalog, it's a free scoped app. There's also a blog that I wrote that shows how to install it, and it also gives you the update set for free in that blog. So, and I think I just went through that whole slide right there. So the benefits of this is streamlining it. Think about self-service. If you have a green team, you have different varying levels of people who have AWS. And your green team, you're trying to migrate workloads. They don't want the building blocks, they want a product. They want to order something so they can go and innovate. So then they can do that innovation, also comply with their governance requirements that you have. Streamlining provisioning, so that they don't have to have this swivel chair experience of going one place to request something, then going to another place to request something. So they have all that in one area. Agile governance, controlling the cost. And the controlling the cost perspective from us is the fact that you can limit what their parameters they have access to. So they only see in the CloudFormation the parameters you allow them and give them permission to have. And then also, we support this connector on 3 versions of ServiceNow's platform. Their latest release, London, and then Jakarta and Kingston are the other 2 versions that we support it on. So do we have any questions?
Any questions?
If anyone does have questions, I'll be happy to bring you the microphone so everyone can hear the question. Anybody? Just raise your hand. Anyone? Going once, going twice? You have answered everything. That's the thing.
Okay.
So
I think it's time for raffle.
Yeah, the app is actually available on the ServiceNow store. It's free of cost, so you can actually go ahead and test it out on your test instances and see how it works for you in your enterprise.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Wild applause.
Oh,
we do have a question. We have one. Okay, hold on.
Can this app from the store be installed on a instance that you get from developer.servicenow.com?
Personal developer instance PDI, yes it can.
Okay, thank you.
Yes it can. Yeah, and you go to my blog on how to install the app to get the scope update set for that. Because from the store, you can't download to a PDI, so I give the code in my blog.
You'll have the XML file. All you have to just import it in as an update set.
Yeah.
How do you get to your blog?
Okay, so my name, can you go to my name? So it's how to install Service Catalog Connector. If I could take a picture, if anybody wants a demo, deep dive demo of this, I can take a picture, meet you over here, and then we can set up some meetings and sessions. But if you Google
Masanya
Scott and Service Catalog, you'll see my blog.